The rain beat lightly against the windows as Vanessa Dawson stared at her reflection in the hallway mirror. Her lips trembled, her heart thudded beneath her satin robe, and yet she didn't move. The house was silent, save for the occasional creak of old wood under the weight of tension. Vanessa had always been the image of control. A mother of one, widowed young, she'd raised her son Ethan on her own, managing a real estate firm during the day and turning their house into a warm home by night. People admired her strength, envied her beauty, and often whispered about how she'd kept herself looking 10 years younger. But no one knew the weight she carried behind closed doors. Tonight was different. Tonight, something dangerous stirred in the air, something she'd never anticipated. Ethan had returned home from college 2 weeks ago. At 22, he was tall, athletic, and carried himself with the same quiet confidence his late father once did. Vanessa noticed the change almost immediately. His voice was deeper, his glances lingering longer, and the way he'd touch her shoulder or lean in when speaking felt different. First, she brushed it off. Maybe she was imagining it. Maybe she just missed having someone close. But then came the night after his friend Tyler came to stay. Tyler Morgan was charming in that effortless way girls fell for. Blonde hair, icy blue eyes, that could turn any situation casual. Vanessa tried to be the polite host, but the way he looked at her made her skin flush, her pulse quicken. It wasn't just flirtation. There was something raw behind his gaze, like he knew something she didn't. They both stayed up late that night. Ethan had gone to sleep early, and she and Tyler ended up talking in the kitchen. It started with red wine and casual stories, but gradually slipped into something more charged. "I can't believe Ethan never mentioned how stunning you are," Tyler said, his voice low, eyes locked on hers. Vanessa laughed nervously, brushing her hair behind her ear. "I'm his mom." "He wouldn't exactly describe me like that. But you're not just a mom. You're captivating," Tyler said, stepping closer. She had taken a step back then, uncomfortable but flattered, unsure of what line they were dangerously skimming. She excused herself and went to bed, but her heart was pounding the whole night. Since then, things had shifted. Ethan became more protective, watchful. Tyler stayed, seemingly unaware of the increasing tension. But Vanessa felt it like fire beneath the floorboards, slowly rising, threatening to burn everything down. Tonight she couldn't sleep. She walked quietly down the stairs to get water, wearing nothing but her robe and a lace slip underneath. She hadn't expected to find Tyler in the kitchen again, shirtless, leaning against the counter with a glass of whiskey in hand. "Couldn't sleep?" he asked, smirking. She nodded, reaching for the faucet. "It's the storm. Makes everything feel restless. Or maybe you're just restless, Vanessa." She froze. His tone, the use of her name, not Mrs. Dawson, it all made her chest tighten. "Tyler, you need to stop this," she said, her voice soft but firm. "You're Ethan's friend. And you're the one who keeps walking around like that," he replied, his gaze trailing down her body. "Don't pretend you don't notice me watching." "I do," she whispered. He stepped closer. "And you don't stop me." She should have stopped him then. Should have slapped him or turned around or screamed. But she didn't. She stared into his eyes and let the silence between them stretch until it snapped. His hand brushed her waist, and she didn't pull away. The heat of his skin, the way his breath warmed her cheek, it was intoxicating. Then a sound broke the moment. The creak of the stairs. They jumped apart just before Ethan walked in, shirtless, his eyes heavy with sleep and suspicion. "What's going on?" he asked, his gaze bouncing between them. "Nothing," Vanessa said quickly, picking up her glass. "Just couldn't sleep. We were talking." Ethan's jaw tightened. "You should go to bed, Mom." "Tyler too." Vanessa nodded and turned, fleeing upstairs, her heartbeat a frantic mess. She locked her door behind her, collapsing against it. She had nearly crossed a line she could never return from. But the real mistake had already been made. Not in the kitchen, not in the silence, but in the way her mind wandered later, the way she imagined Tyler's lips brushing hers, his hands gripping her waist. And worse, How Ethan had looked at her as though he knew. The next day was awkward. Ethan barely spoke to her, and Tyler stayed out most of the day. Vanessa cleaned the house twice just to keep her hands busy. That evening, when she went to Ethan's room to talk, she paused at his door, hearing voices. "Dude, you need to be careful," Ethan said, his tone dark. "I'm not doing anything," Tyler replied. "She's a grown woman. She's my mom, Tyler. I saw the way you looked at her. You think she doesn't look back?" There was a thump like something hitting the wall. "You're crossing a line, man. Don't make me regret bringing you here." Vanessa backed away silently, her chest aching. She never wanted to come between them, but now she had. Even if she never touched Tyler, the energy, the tension, it was enough to tear them apart. Later that night, Ethan confronted her. "Are you into him?" he asked, standing in the kitchen doorway. She blinked, caught off guard. "What?" "Ethan, no. I'm not blind, Mom. I've seen how he looks at you. How you look at him. I would never do that to you," she said, trying to keep her voice from shaking. "You're my son. Then why do you keep letting him be near you like that? Why do you let him stay?" "Because I trust you. I trusted him. I didn't expect things to get so complicated." Ethan stepped closer, frustration etched in every line of his face. "It's not just about him, Mom. It's about you. You've been different since I came home. You smile at him in a way you haven't smiled in years." She turned away, ashamed. "Are you lonely?" he asked, his voice softer now. Tears burned her eyes. "I've been lonely since your father died." He nodded slowly, looking down. "Then maybe it's time you found someone. But not him." "I know," she whispered. The next morning Tyler was gone. No note, no message. Just gone. Ethan didn't say much, and Vanessa didn't ask. It was an unspoken agreement. Some doors are better left unopened. Days passed. The house returned to its quiet, sterile normal. But Vanessa couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted forever. She tried to return to her routines, work, morning yoga, weekend errands, but there was a hole where guilt and temptation now lived. Then, 1 week later, she found a letter in the mailbox. No return address. Inside was a folded piece of paper. "I left because I knew if I stayed, we'd both do something we can't undo. But don't lie to yourself, Vanessa. You felt it too. If you ever change your mind, you know where to find me." It was signed with a simple T. Vanessa folded the letter, heart racing. She tucked it deep into her drawer and locked it away, as if that might bury the memory along with it. But at night, when the rain fell and the wind crept through the windows, she sometimes found herself staring at that drawer, wondering what might have happened if she had opened the door just a little wider. She did the one thing a mother should never do. Not because she touched him, but because she wanted to. And sometimes the wanting is worse than the act itself.